You're listening to the Black to Business Podcast, an educational podcast providing Black entrepreneurs with the tools and resources to start and grow their businesses. We chat with vetted Black entrepreneurs, thought leaders, and business owners as they provide tips and resources to help take your business to the next level. I'm your host, Monique T. Marshall. Hey, and welcome back to another episode of the Black to Business Podcast. I'm your host, Monique T. Marshall, and today we are diving into a short and sweet solo episode all about something that can make or break your business, and that is knowing exactly what your business needs right now to grow. Whether you're just getting started or you've been in the game for a while, there comes a time when you are faced with that big question. What should I focus on next to really move the needle? And I know this feeling because there's so much advice out there. And honestly, it can feel so easy to get overwhelmed. And growing up, as I've mentioned before, I didn't have any direct examples of entrepreneurship around me. So I had to learn through trial and error. And trust me, the more information I got, the harder it was for me to figure out what was actually useful for my business. And here's the truth. Every business is unique. So what works for one might not work for you. And that's why it's so important to know how to self-diagnose what your business needs at this very moment. So in today's episode, we're going to talk about how to do just that so that you can stay focused and avoid getting stuck. And hey, if you want a little extra help figuring out where to focus, I've got something exciting for you. So if you have ever felt like you're working hard in your business, but you are just not seeing and making the right moves, I've got the perfect solution. So we created the business building playlist quiz, and it's a personalized podcast playlist designed for you just where you are in your business today. So you'll answer 5 quick questions, and we'll pull together episodes featuring Black entrepreneurs on the Black to Business podcast who have been through exactly what you are facing. And these are real stories offering practical advice for your business. So to take that quiz, head over to blacktobusiness.com/playlist quiz. But first, let's tune in and dive into today's episode. So let's get into it. Okay, so one of the biggest challenges that many business owners face is figuring out their biggest roadblock. We all have them. So whether it's marketing, systems, finances, or leadership, every business runs into roadblocks at different stages. But here's the thing, identifying those roadblocks early on is really crucial because you can't fix what you don't know is broken. And if you're constantly feeling stuck, overwhelmed, or like you're treading water, but you're not really moving forward, there is a good chance that you've hit a roadblock that needs to be addressed. Now, I want to share a little bit about my own personal story here because in the early days of Black to Business, my biggest roadblock was systems. I was a one-woman show doing everything myself, and it really slowed me down because I didn't have any systems in place to really streamline my work. So every time I needed to get something done, I was essentially starting from scratch. And it was tiring, and it was also inefficient. I was putting in all of this work, but I wasn't seeing the results I wanted because I wasn't being as efficient as I could be. And here's the thing, when I eventually did bring people on to help, the problem did not go away. Why? Because I didn't have the systems in place in order to onboard and train them properly. So every time I hired somebody, contracted someone, got an intern, I found myself retraining them over and over again because I wasn't organized. And that was a huge wake-up call for me because I realized that if I wanted to grow my business and scale, I needed to fix that system issue first. Otherwise, I was just going to keep hitting the same wall. Now, the important part is your roadblock might not be systems. Maybe for you, it's marketing. You're struggling to get the word out and attract new customers. Or maybe it's finances. You're bringing in revenue, but you're not sure where it's going or how to manage your cash flow. Or perhaps it's leadership. You're not sure how to effectively delegate or manage your team. Whatever it is, identify your specific roadblock is the first step to overcoming it. So you can't fix everything at once. So you've got to focus on the one thing that's holding you back the most right now. So I would say take a moment to think about where you're constantly feeling stuck in your business. What tasks feel like they take forever to complete? Or what areas do you tend to avoid because they're frustrating or overwhelming? And are these things that you keep putting off because you don't feel confident handling them? And that's probably your biggest roadblock. So for example, maybe you're constantly overwhelmed by marketing tasks. You're trying to juggle social media, emails, and ads, but none of it feels effective. If that's the case for you, then marketing might be your roadblock, or marketing might be that bottleneck in your business. Or maybe you're spending so much time managing your day-to-day operations that you don't have the time or the bandwidth to think about growth. In this case, operations and systems might be your bottleneck. So here's what I want you to do. Analyze your day-to-day activities. Pay attention to the tasks that feel like they're constantly slowing you down or the things you're always avoiding. If you're still unsure, try tracking your time for a week. See where most of your time is going and what's eating up your energy. And that will help you pinpoint the area that's holding you back. And once you know what your biggest roadblock is, you can start making strategic moves to fix it. And don't feel like you have to tackle everything at once. I would not advise you to do that, but I would instead advise you to focus on the one thing that's slowing you down the most and then work on improving that area. So it is a process, but taking the first step can make a huge difference in how your business operates and grows. Got it? All right, now that you've got a handle on identifying your biggest roadblock, the next step is all about getting clear on your current priorities. So this is big because this part is really essential. If you're anything like me, there have probably been many times when you felt like everything in your business needed fixing all at once. And maybe you're juggling marketing campaigns, trying to manage your finances, improving your website. And on top of all of that, you're trying to build a team. And while all of those things are important, trying to do them simultaneously will leave you feeling overwhelmed. And here's the thing, nothing will move forward if you are overwhelmed. And the reality is that as a business owner, especially if you're a solo entrepreneur or you have a small team, your bandwidth is limited. I know we feel like Superman and Superwoman, but your bandwidth is limited. And that means that you have to be strategic about what you focus on. So trying to fix everything at once will spread you too thin, and then you'll find yourself stuck in the same place month after month, wondering why aren't you seeing any real progress? And I have been there, y'all, so I'm preaching to the choir. So in the early days of Black Tip Business, I had my hands in everything. And still, as we continue to grow, there were times where I'm like, I just got to do this thing. But it's not good. So I was in marketing, finances, everything, you name it. And guess what? Nothing was moving forward because I wasn't giving any of those things my full attention. And I was trying to do it all. And in the process, I was spreading myself too thin. And it was like trying to put out 5 fires at once, and you end up burning out. And that is not a good feeling. But what I did learn was focusing on one major business area at a time makes all the difference. So if your biggest issue is marketing, then spend the next month or two dedicated solely to that. And then deep dive into it. Figure out what's working, what's not working, and what changes need to be made. If it's finances for you, then make sure that that is a priority. Track your cash flow, review your expenses, and get a clear picture of where is your money going. And the key here is you have to focus. So here's something I want you to try. Take a step back and really evaluate your business as it is right now. What's the one area that, if improved, would have the greatest impact on your business? So is it marketing? Is it your finances? Or maybe it's your operations and systems? Once you figure that out, commit to putting your full attention into that area for the next 30 to 60 days. Let the other areas be for now. Trust me, they'll still be there when you are ready. Progress comes when you give one area your full energy. And let me say this. Don't forget to track your small wins. So I think sometimes we get so caught up in looking for those big transformative results, but it's the small wins that really keep us going. So if you're working on improving your marketing, celebrate when you see more engagement on your social media posts. If your focus is on finances, give yourself a pat on the back when you manage to stick to that budget that you set for a week or reduce unnecessary expenses. These small wins are your indicators that you're on the right track, and they're what keep you motivated. So here's why this is all important. When you focus on one area and you start seeing progress, no matter how small it is, it boosts your confidence. And that confidence pushes you to keep going. It's easy to feel like you're not getting anywhere when you're trying to juggle everything at once. But when you hone in on a single area and start seeing results, even the small ones, trust me, it creates that momentum. And that momentum is what leads to bigger results down the road. All right, now let's get into something else that I know a lot of us deal with, comparing our businesses to others. Now, let me keep it real. In the early days of Black to Business, I did not have examples of entrepreneurship around me growing up, as I mentioned. So I didn't have someone I could look up to for advice or guidance or mentorship in business. So naturally, all I had to go off of was what I saw. And for me, that meant I was gauging my success based on what other businesses seemed to be doing. And maybe you've been in the same place, right? You see someone else's business growing fast, they're hitting these milestones, and it seems like they got it all figured out. And you look at that and you start thinking, why am I not there yet? Or what am I doing wrong? But let me tell you something. I had to learn the hard way. That's not the way to measure your success. So comparing yourself to someone else's journey will only lead you to frustration. See, what I didn't realize at the time was that those businesses I was looking at often had things I didn't have. Some had bigger teams, more resources, or they were in a completely different industry with different goals. Meanwhile, I was trying to do everything on my own, feeling like I wasn't measuring up. But the truth was, we were playing two entirely different games. Here's why this matters. When you start comparing your business to others, you lose sight of your own path. Every business's growth is unique, and it's so important to focus on your own lane instead of trying to mimic someone else's success. And what works for them might not work for you because your circumstances are different. Even when I talk to clients one-on-one, I always tell them your situation is different. So we got to gauge a plan. We got to make a plan that works for your situation. So you might have a smaller team. You might have less capital, or you're just starting out while they've been building for years. And that's why that comparison game will have you feeling like you're not doing enough when in reality, you're exactly where you need to be. Hope that was a breakthrough for you. So what's the alternative? Instead of you focusing on what others are doing, focus on what you can do to improve your business. So ask yourself, what's one area of my business that I can enhance right now? Whether that's improving your product, better connecting with your customers, or getting your systems in order. Focusing on incremental improvements. And here's a tip that really helped me when I was going through this is stop modeling your business after someone else's and instead focus on making small but impactful changes within your own business. So every week or month, look at what's going well and what could be better. Focus on those incremental improvements, and over time, they'll lead to massive progress. And remember, the business you're comparing yourself to might be much further along in their journey. They could have had more resources, more experience, or a completely different vision for their business. You're in your own lane and your success will come in its own time. So keep your head down, do the work, and trust that the growth will come. So here's what I want you to walk away from this with. Your journey is yours. Don't worry about what someone else is doing or how fast they are moving. Focus on improving what's right in front of you, and everything else will fall into place. Got it? Got it. Now let's get into something else that's really important. Leveraging those strengths that you have. So as entrepreneurs, we often feel the need to fix everything we're not great at. Maybe it's the finances, maybe it's the marketing, or maybe it's the technical stuff. And while those areas do matter, constantly focusing on your weaknesses can hold you back from making real progress. The truth is, doubling down on your strengths is what really and truly is going to move the needle in your business. So I remember with Black to Business, I realized that one of my biggest strengths was building community and providing valuable resources. I love to talk to people about business, and that was one of my strengths. So connecting with people and offering tools that actually help them succeed, that came naturally to me. But like many of us, I was tempted to stretch myself thin by offering too much at once. And I had to learn that just because I wanted to do it all didn't mean that I needed to do it all, at least not right now. So instead, I focused on what I was already good at, and that's where the growth started to happen. And here's what you might be facing now. Maybe you're feeling that pull to be good at everything, running the day-to-day, handling the finances, executing the marketing strategies, running the ads, and so much more. But when you're trying to master everything, you can end up missing out on the growth that happens when you focus on your strengths. You may be putting all of your energy into areas where you're not naturally inclined, leaving you drained and scattered. So here's my advice. I would say take a moment to think about what you and your businesses do best. What are the areas where you are consistently shining? Maybe your strength is in creating an amazing product, offering a top-tier customer service experience, or branding that stands out. You want to focus on enhancing those areas. Let your strengths drive your business forward. So instead of spreading yourself too thin, zero in on the areas where you naturally excel. So when you put your focus there, growth will follow. Now, this doesn't mean ignoring areas where you struggle, but rather you want to find and delegate and outsource them so that you can focus on what you do best. So you don't need a huge team to make this work. You can start small. Maybe it's hiring a freelancer to take over social media or bringing in a virtual assistant to help with admin tasks. Personally, having interns step in to handle specific tasks gave me more room to grow in the areas and I excelled. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to take some time to evaluate your business, write down the areas where you feel most confident and where you're seeing real success. And then look at these tasks that drain you or slow you down. And once you identify those tasks, start thinking about how can you delegate or get help in those areas. And don't be afraid to hand things off so that you can fully focus on where your strengths lie. The more you lean into what you're already great at, the faster you'll see progress and growth in your business. So what I want you to take away from this is success isn't about mastering everything. It's about recognizing where you shine, doubling down on that, and finding support for the rest. So when you focus on your strengths, not only will your business grow faster, but you'll enjoy the process a lot more. So I would say keep pushing forward, doing what you do best, and then letting that lead the way. Okay, so now that we have that, let's take a moment to dive into something that often gets overlooked, but is crucial for that long-term success, and that is regular business check-ins. So I know firsthand how easy it can be to get caught up in that daily hustle of running a business. So you're focused on putting out fires all day, completing tasks, and keeping things honestly moving. But here's the thing. If you don't take the time to pause and reflect, you'll miss out on key opportunities for growth and improvement. So it's like if you're driving a car without ever looking at the dashboard, you wouldn't know if you're low on gas, if your engine needs a tune-up, or if you're heading in the wrong direction. And that's exactly what happens when you don't schedule regular check-ins with your business. Here's what might be happening for you right now. You might be working really hard, you're putting in these long hours, but you're feeling like you're not moving the needle as much as you'd like. So maybe there are areas of your business that you're seeing that you might be stuck in, but you haven't had the time to actually pinpoint what's going on here. Or maybe you've been doing well in some areas, but you haven't paused to celebrate those wins and build on them. Either way, you are so deep in the work that you haven't stepped back to see the bigger picture. And that's exactly why regular check-ins are so important. And this is what I found that works. So make a point to schedule this time in your business. So either monthly or quarterly to really step back and reflect on your business. And you want to use this time to ask yourself some key questions. So these questions are, what's working well? What's not? What do I need to adjust? And then you want to look at your numbers, your customer feedback, and your overall goals to assess how you're doing. It's not just about looking at what's wrong, but it's also about identifying what's working so you can double down on those areas. And with Black to Business, I wasn't always doing regular check-ins as often as I should have been doing. And it really started to show. So I was so busy keeping things going that I wasn't noticing the areas where I could have been more efficient. And it wasn't until I began setting aside that time to really assess what was working and what wasn't that I saw the opportunity to really streamline my process and focus on those growth areas. So here's something practical that you can do. You can create a simple framework for your business check-in. So you can ask yourself these three basic questions. What's going well? What's not working? What needs to be adjusted? And I don't think you need to overcomplicate it. Just get into the habit of doing these self-audits. So look at your finances, your customer interactions, and your overall operations. And sometimes it's as simple as realizing that a marketing campaign didn't perform as expected, or maybe that process that you've been using, it's a bit outdated and it's slowing you down. So once you identify these things early on, you can make those necessary changes and keep your business moving forward. And another tip I would say is don't wait until things are falling apart to do a check-in. Even when things are going well, it's important to take a step back and really evaluate. So you want to be proactive and not reactive. And the goal here is to stay agile, to adjust as needed, and to be intentional about the direction your business is going in. So making time for regular check-ins, even if it feels like just one more thing to do. I know we got a lot of things to do. These are the moments for you to reflect on what is keeping your business on track, allow you to catch issues before they become problems, and help you recognize the wins that you need to keep building on. So regularly assessing what's working and what's not working ensures that you stay ahead of the curve and then that you keep moving towards your goals. Got it? All right. So before we wrap up, I want to remind you about something that can really help push your business forward. So if you're like most entrepreneurs, you've probably searched for advice that truly fits your situation. And that's exactly why we created the Business Building Playlist Quiz. It's 5 quick questions that will give you a personalized playlist of episodes featuring successful Black entrepreneurs who've been through the challenges that you are facing right now. So these are real solutions and actionable advice just for you. So to take this quiz, head over to blacktobusiness.com/playlist quiz, and it'll only take you a couple of seconds. All right. So to wrap things up, remember that your business's success is all about focused growth. Start by self-diagnosing what your business really needs, and don't try to fix everything at once. And also, don't get caught up in comparing yourself to others. Instead, focus on incremental improvements. Lean into your strengths and regularly check in with yourself and your business. And if you need that extra help, of course, check out the Business Building Playlist Quiz at blacktobusiness.com/playlist quiz. And I want to thank you so much for tuning into this episode, and let me know what you think on Instagram. We are at blacktobusiness, and I can't wait to chat with you next week. But until then, keep building and keep pushing the culture forward.